The late morning sun streamed through the wide windows of my suite, but the light did nothing to ease the darkness clouding my mind. I was supposed to be reviewing strategy documents, but the words blurred together as my thoughts wandered back. To her. Leyla. Her name alone sent a rush of something dangerously close to desire spiraling through me. No matter how many cold showers I had taken since the balcony, or how many times I'd sought relief with my fist, nothing had worked. The memory of her in my arms, her breathless cries against my lips, her body arching under my touch, haunted me. I leaned back in my chair, running a hand through my hair, letting out a frustrated groan. Boss. Liam's voice cut through the haze, but I barely acknowledged him, waving him off without looking up. Multiple times now, I'd picked up my phone with the intent of texting her. It had been days. Each time I'd stopped myself, forcing the device back down with enough force to make the desk shudder. I couldn't afford this. Not now. Not when everything I'd worked for, the power I'd clawed my way back to, the throne I was destined to reclaim, was still precariously out of reach. Velmorne didn't respect weakness. I'd been gone too long, my father's illness had left us vulnerable, and it was only through sheer determination that I'd clawed our family back from the brink. But now this she was threatening to unravel my focus. I let out a harsh breath, pinching the bridge of my nose. Get your head in the game, Kai, I muttered to myself. I was still warring with my thoughts when Liam's voice broke through again, sharper this time. Kai, we've got a problem. The urgency in his tone pulled me out of my spiraling thoughts. I looked up to find him standing across the room, his expression tense, his laptop in his hands. What is it? I asked, sitting straighter in my chair. Wordlessly, Liam turned the screen toward me. And then the calm I'd been desperately clinging to shattered. On the screen was a headline that made my blood boil. The Wedding of the Year, Secrets of the Past Resurface. The accompanying article wasn't just about the wedding, it was a salacious exposé dredging up Leyla's abduction from 4 years ago. The words blurred as my vision turned red, but the images, God, the images, were unmistakable. There she was, her face clearly visible despite the blurring of her body. The photo wasn't new. I'd seen it before, buried deep in the reports I'd forced myself to read when I first heard about her past. But seeing it now, splashed across every major tabloid and news channel, both local and national, was another thing entirely. The picture was a cruel invasion of her privacy, her dignity stripped bare for the world to gawk at. Fury roared through me like a wildfire, scorching everything in its path. Without a word, I pushed back my chair and stood. Kai, wait. Liam started, stepping forward, but I was already moving, the chair spinning behind me as I stormed out of the room. My heart thundered in my chest as I shoved the office doors open, the corridors blurring around me. Boss. Liam's voice followed me, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. The ride to Castra Manor was a blur. Rage coursed through me, sharp and unrelenting. By the time I reached the sprawling estate, it had turned into something barely contained, a storm waiting to break. I didn't bother announcing myself. The guards at the gate hesitated only for a second before opening the gates, sensing the force of my fury. The doors to the manor slammed open under my hand, and I marched straight toward Luca's study, ignoring the startled staff and the questioning looks they threw my way. When I reached the heavy double doors of the study, I didn't knock. My hand shoved them open with a force that made the wood groan against its hinges. Luca Castra looked up from his desk, his expression blank. Unbothered. Care to explain why your daughter's photos are plastered all over the goddamn news? I growled, my voice cutting through the room like a blade. He leaned back in his chair, unhurried, as if this was just another conversation. Kai. No, my voice rose and I stalked forward, slamming my hands onto his desk. Don't you dare play this off like it's nothing. 2 years, Luca. It's been 2 years and those images are still circulating. Why the hell are they in the news now? Why haven't you buried this for good? Luca sighed, folding his hands together. You think it's that simple? That I can just wave my hand and erase the digital footprint of something that went viral years ago? Don't give me excuses. I snapped, leaning closer. Did you even try? Did you find the people who did this to her? Did you make them pay? For the first time, a flicker of irritation crossed his face. Kai, abductions happen every day in our world. This isn't new. I can't afford to waste resources chasing down every maniac with a grudge or a camera. His words hit me like a punch to the gut and I straightened, fists clenching at my sides. She's your daughter, Luca. Your flesh and blood. Those pictures, those articles, they're dragging her through hell again, and you're sitting here like it's a minor inconvenience. He raised an eyebrow, his tone colder now. What do you expect me to do? If this is going to make you back out of our deal, I'd rather you say it outright than waste my time with theatrics. I have another offers waiting. His casual dismissal made the storm inside me explode. I slammed my fist onto the desk, the sound reverberating through the room. You're worried about a fucking deal? Your daughter's naked pictures are all over the news, and that's your priority. I spat, my voice shaking with anger. Luca's expression didn't change. If anything, he looked bored. If Leyla had listened to me, if she hadn't insisted on pursuing her ridiculous college dreams, none of this would have happened. She would be at home, safe and sound. The words hung in the air like a noose, tightening around my temper. A wave of realization crashed over me, and for a moment, my rage gave way to something colder. This was why Leyla wanted to leave him. This man, her father, cared more about his image, his business, and his power than he ever cared about her. He didn't see her as a person. She was just a pawn in his empire, a piece to be moved and sacrificed as needed. My fists clenched, the leather of my gloves creaking under the pressure. Where is she? I hurried up the stairs. I had no idea what I was even going to say to her. I just had to know if she's okay. On the first floor landing, I passed by a couple of maids who were so deep in conversation that they didn't even hear me. She's doing that singing thing again. I didn't wait to hear the rest of it. They were no doubt talking about Leyla. The moment I stepped into Layla's room, I braced myself for chaos. A shattered lamp, books flung against the walls, a chair appended. That's what I would have done in her place. But the room was quiet, eerily so, and it made the anger simmering in my chest falter. The only sound was a soft song. It was coming from Leyla. She sat on the edge of her bed, her back to the door, facing the window. Too still. The lilting lullaby spilled from her lips, engulfing the room in a haunting chill. Leyla? I called out softly, then again louder this time. She didn't respond. The room was starkly different from the last time I had been here. The space that used to overflow with books was empty, their absence hollowing out the space. Still, the faint scent of old paper lingered, mingling with the soft fragrance I'd come to associate with her. I stepped closer, noticing a faint scratching sound. It was subtle, almost rhythmic, but it grated against the silence. Leyla? I said again as I approached. When I finally came to stand beside her, the sight before me sent a sharp pang through my chest. Her hand, the one that wore my engagement ring, was scratching absently at the polished top of her nightstand. Not lightly, enough that the varnish had stripped away and her fingers were bloodied. The red stained the edge of the white ring band. Bella, I said, my voice softer now, the nickname slipping out like a plea. She turned her head toward me, slowly as if moving through water. Her wide brown eyes met mine, and for a moment my rage was gone, replaced by something foreign. Her eyes were red, brimming with tears, and one slipped down her cheek as she blinked at me as if seeing me for the first time. She looked lost, vulnerable, alone, and it disturbed me more than any scream or outburst could have. I reached out and touched her chin. My thumb brushed her skin, and it was like the touch snapped her out of whatever daze she was in. She straightened, hastily wiping her face with the back of her hand, as if embarrassed by her emotions. Kai, what are you doing here? She sniffed, her voice trembling but determined. I saw the news, I said, my voice low. I came straight here. Are you okay? Her lips twitched, almost forming a bitter smile. But instead of answering me, she pulled her bloodied hand away from the nightstand, inspecting her fingers like they belonged to someone else. She wiped them on the skirt of her black dress and smoothed it down, her movements mechanical. I'm fine, she said, her voice flat. It's not like I haven't been through this before. Bella, you don't have to. Stop, she interrupted sharply, finally meeting my gaze. Her eyes, though glassy with unshed tears, held a quiet desperation. Please, Kai, don't do this. Her words cut deeper than they should have. I swallowed my frustration, but it coiled in my gut. She was hurting. I could see it in the way her shoulders tensed, in the compulsive way her hands twitched toward the nightstand before she stopped herself. But she wasn't letting me in, and it clawed at something primal inside me. I wanted to break something, to punch the smug bastard who called himself her father, to destroy every tabloid that dared to run that story. But none of that would fix the quiet, destructive pain she was drowning in right now. I exhaled slowly, forcing my anger down, and looked at her. Really looked at her. Her black dress hung on her like a shadow, her skin pale against the dark fabric. She looked like she was trying to disappear, and I hated it. Put on something white, I said abruptly. Her head snapped up, confusion flashing in her eyes. What? We're getting married. Right now. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind, her lips parting to protest. I'm done with this place, Bella. With Luca. With this city. I'm taking you back to Velmorne with me, I said, my voice steady, though my chest felt like it was ready to cave in. So put on something white. We're leaving. Her eyes widened, the tears threatening to spill over. For a moment she said nothing, and I wondered if she would fight me on this too. But then, just for a second, something flickered in her gaze, a spark of hope, maybe, or relief. And for the first time that day I felt like I was doing something right.